What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Take 3 podcast. We're back again. Super Wildcard Weekend, as the NFL is labeling it, is coming up. So, I mean, you have Super Wildcard Weekend coming up. We got to bring in a guest. As always, we have Alex on here, and then we're bringing in Blaine back from, I think it's his second appearance on the podcast. I think he was on last year for the Open Championship, a little bit of golf talk. So it's always good to have him on for now a little bit of NFL talk. It should be interesting. Obviously, some crazy stuff happened. We'll talk about just super briefly with Week 18. Obviously, the Colts and Carson Wentz fumbled the bag. The Colts, we laughed about it all week, got the full Carson Wentz experience. And yeah, that ends up with you not being in the playoffs. So it is what it is there. And then we watch the Brandon Staley experience on Sunday Night Football, where my man goes for it on 4th and 1 from his 18-yard line, I think it was. And just, I don't know what that was. It's like I was all in on Brandon Staley at the beginning of the season, and then he just completely went downhill. And then on the NFC side, we just got the Rams choke away a 17-point lead. They still win the NFC West, but it's not really a good feeling winning the NFC West that way. So, I mean, I'll lead in with Blaine. We'll get you going right off the bat. How'd you feel about Week 18, just real quick, with all that stuff that went on?
Yeah, I mean, the shockers to me are definitely what you said. The Colts, actually, I guess 3. The Colts losing, and then a byproduct of that, the Steelers, who had like a 2% chance of getting into the playoffs 2 weeks ago, somehow sneaking in by virtue of tying the Lions with the Mason Rudolph game. And then, of course, the Saints just getting jobbed by the Rams. I know they felt good in the Superdome. You know, fans were probably seeing the score 17-0. They thought they were, you know, they literally thought the Saints were marching into the playoffs, and that didn't happen. So I think you pretty much nailed it.
Facts. Alex, you got any quick thoughts on Week 18, how that made you, what was your reaction to kind of the Colts blowing it? I mean, it was hilarious, but I mean, any quick thoughts on that before we jump into the playoffs?
Hard to get there without Jameis for the Saints, right? Got to spin it around one last time. Not surprised with the Niners, though. I said Niners win by a field goal. They did that, so I'm very happy with the Niners. I like them again. We'll get into that. Really just the Carson Wentz experience, right? Being a Colts fan, my goodness, dude, you go back-to-back weeks beating the Cardinals and the Patriots only to choke it away against the Jags. It's hard to get worse than that, right? Carson Wentz looks good a few weeks and then looks bad. It's like the whole experience of Carson in a month basically sums up his career right there.
Facts. And I mean, the Colts are going to get super dicey heading into the offseason. I assume at some point we'll talk about it. But the comments from Wentz and Frank Reich, it seems like the relationship could be on some thin ice, I'll say, after reading into that. So it'd be super interesting to see if the Colts actually have the balls to pivot off. But I mean, let's not worry about them. They obviously didn't make the playoffs. Let's jump straight in. The first game on the wild card slate, obviously Saturday afternoon. 4:30 Eastern, we got the Las Vegas Raiders, who slide in, surprised us all, honestly. Shout out to the interim coach. That guy did a hell of a job with everything that went on there. Usually a team fumbles like that, but he kept the train going. They finished 10-7. They get a matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati, a rematch where the Bengals won 32-13 in Las Vegas at the beginning of the year. But I mean, obviously the Raiders, they're hot now. They're kind of getting it together, marching in. And it's obviously playoff debut for both quarterbacks. We know the Bengals offensive line, not the greatest. Burrow has been hit like 900 times in 2 years. And the Raiders, they like to attack the quarterback with their front four and get after him. So, I mean, what do you guys see here? This is really, I mean, when I look at it, if there's any game that could really be an upset, I mean, maybe San Fran, Dallas, but I think this one, if Las Vegas was able to beat the Bengals, I think this would be like one of the bigger upsets of the weekend, I would say, because most people they're going to ride with the Bengals. But I think the Raiders have a hell of a shot to go on the road and beat the unproven Bengals in the playoffs. But I mean, how are you feeling, Alex? What do you see going into this game?
I think this is going to be actually really competitive. I like the Bengals to win money line wise, but like if I was picking the spread here, I like the Raiders +5. I think they're going to keep it pretty competitive. They're getting healthy, right? And you can attack this Cincinnati defense over the middle. You can get Darren Waller, which they love to do, who's finally healthy again on those crossing routes. Derek Carr's playing really well. The Raiders have what it takes to upset the Bengals here. I don't think they get it done. I think they keep it competitive, but with that passing attack, and Josh Jacobs is running well, but you can really attack this Bengals defense over the middle. And I think that like Derek Carr, Waller, and Renfro set up perfectly for it.
Yeah, for sure. I like everything the Raiders bring to the table. And then obviously when you see the other side of the ball, when you got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, those guys, this definitely has a chance to be a fun one to watch. I would say, Blaine, what do you see here in Cincinnati?
Well, I'll tell you the least surprising thing is that they put this game as the early Saturday game. We kind of joked about who would get that slot last week. And if you look at the matchups as they panned out, I think they chose the perfect game to be the leadoff game that will only be cared about regionally. But in terms of more serious stuff, I think the Raiders do match up fairly well, especially if they can get pressure on Burrow. As we've seen the last couple weeks, he will just torch your secondary. But, as we hear all the time, the pass rush has to kind of be married with the secondary, especially if your secondary is a little underwhelming like Las Vegas is. But I mean, with Ngakoue and Max Crosby, you got to feel like they can, they do have the people up front to be able to, give a weaker Bengals offensive line some issues. But if they can't do that, I don't know that, even Carr and Waller and Renfro and the offense will be able to keep up, because you got Burrow throwing for like 900 yards and 8 touchdowns over the final 2 weeks of the season. And they're really catching a rhythm. So I think you're going to really have to rattle him early, get him thinking about the pass rush, and, get him kind of in his head about his own offensive line. And then maybe that in turn gets into Zach Taylor's head with some of the play calling, and it turns into a Mixon game. I know Mixon had a lot of success the first time they played Las Vegas, but I don't put too much stock into that. First of all, it was in Las Vegas, so the venue is going to be entirely different. But sometimes we see these stories. We've seen it for, the 2 decades that we've all been watching football. When a team beats a team pretty handily in the regular season, it doesn't always have any impact on the postseason game. And a lot of times we've seen upsets. So, I mean, I do think the Bengals, I would give them the edge on paper to get their first playoff win since 1990. But I did take the Raiders spread immediately in a teaser after their walk-off field goal Sunday night. And I will say that line moved, because I got on it immediately, and it was plus 6.5 at open. And then the next day it was plus 4.5. And I think right now it's between plus 4.5 and 5. So all the sharps and all the money do have some respect for the Raiders.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's 5.5 right now. Super interesting about the Raiders defense. They get they lead the NFL in QB pressures with 33.6, but they don't blitz. They have an NFL low 14.4% blitz rate. So, I mean, they're really relying heavy on Ngakoue and Max Crosby. I think when I look at this game, it's both playoff debuts for these quarterbacks. It's whatever quarterback can kind of settle in, get his feet under him, and not make the big mistake, right? We've seen Joe Burrow like to turn the football over, and Derek Carr, he can do the same thing. So I think when I look at it, it's what coach and quarterback won't get overwhelmed by the moment of the playoffs and kind of settle their teams in and get the things moving. If the Raiders are able to get after Burrow and attack that O-line and just chew that Bengals O-line up early, it could be troublesome, because it's going to have him slinging the rock quicker than he wants. It might, as you said, have Zach Taylor calling stuff that he doesn't want to call. So, I mean, when I look at the game, I'm looking to see what team can settle in first. And I don't know, I'm kind of, as the weeks went on, I'm kind of leaning Raiders to pull the upset in Cincinnati. I don't know why. I just feel like there's gonna be one of those sort of like upsets. It's not massive if the Raiders go into Cincinnati and win, but I think it would turn some heads considering how good the Bengals have played. And obviously that game against the Chiefs really had the Bengals stock surging. But I don't know. It's just something about these Raiders. They won't go away this year. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I have. The Bengals are also 1-8 in the wild card rounds. I don't know. History doesn't serve them well. Obviously, history doesn't really mean shit when you get to this point. But I don't know. I'm feeling the Raiders. I don't know why, but I think it's going to be one of the better games of the weekend. I will say that.
The inexperience factor is really interesting to me. And I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because you have a lot of players on these teams, including both quarterbacks. They have never played a playoff game. So, like, the ability to settle in early will be huge, obviously. But, like, it worries me with Cincinnati because, like, all the young like their young core is all very inexperienced, right? This is the first all around, including coaching staff. And they were ready against the Chiefs. They looked really well as of late, but there's been times throughout the season where they kind of had expectations and you expect the Bengals to look good and they come up flat. So it's very interesting to me to see if they're going to have the Bengals ready to play, if they're not like, two in their head, if they're going to settle down and like get it going.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'll say too, I mean, I think sometimes this is overrated, and I don't like using this for every single matchup, but I would say specifically as it relates to the Raiders-Bengals matchup, the Raiders come in having maybe, the most pressure-free environment of any playoff team. And I think the Bengals, even though they're not supposed to win, the AFC or go to the Super Bowl or anything like that, 31 years of not having won a playoff game, all the, hoopla around Burrow and Chase and how good they've looked. And as Brandon said, the win over Kansas City, I think, you could say the Bengals have some of the most pressure on them, especially as it relates to the teams playing this weekend. And the Raiders, I don't think they have any. I think their season was supposed to go up in flames when Gruden got bounced. I think it was supposed to go up in flames when Ruggs went up in flames. I think it was supposed to go up in flames when Waller was projected to miss the rest of the regular season. I don't think the Raiders were even supposed to be in this spot. They were 6-7. They won their final 4 games, and they won them by a combined 12 total points. I could totally see a situation where Cincinnati's putting so much pressure on themselves, and the Raiders are coming out playing freely. And, there's a lot more experience between Carr and his guys than with Burrow. I know he played with Chase at LSU, but like you guys say, the young core, they just haven't even been in the league as long as Derek Carr has.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and I'm not a guy that's like, this guy played in the national championship at LSU. He knows what pressure is. I know that Saturday at 4:30, that first drive when they take the field, there will be nerves for Joe Burrow, for sure. And yeah, I mean, if the Raiders can get after him, hit him, the inexperience, the forcing throws, it could come back to bite them, right? The 500-yard games are fun, but I mean, you win playoff games and you win Super Bowls by playing clean football, not crazy football. So, yeah, and you're right. The Raiders they're playing with house money, right? They're just out there to have fun. As you said, their season probably should have been over. They probably shouldn't even have been here right now if the Chargers play like the Chargers that we know. But yeah, there's a lot riding on the Bengals, a lot of history that that group is trying to end, and we'll see if it breaks them on Saturday. Any closing thoughts? Actually, what's the pick? What do you guys? I'm going Raiders. I'm going out on a limb. I'm taking the Raiders. How about you guys?
I got Raiders spread, but Bengals win.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like that. I'd say probably Bengals 27, Raiders 24. So in that case, the Raiders would cover. But I think it's going to be close. And I'm not one of these people that's like, the Bengals are worlds better. Feel comfortable putting your money on them. If you ever feel comfortable putting your money on anything Cincinnati, you should probably get checked out.
That's facts. Yeah, let's straight up move it into Saturday night. We have the third game. I'm not a huge fan of like third game matchups when it comes to just like the playoffs. I just feel like the third game's just not going to be what it is. But obviously we got McCorkle Jones leading his squad, kind of stumbling into the playoffs, if we're being honest, stumbling into Buffalo. Obviously Buffalo won the AFC East. Coming on a 4-game win streak heading into the playoffs, that everything seems to be functioning well in Buffalo through the backstretch, right? They could have fumbled somehow. They could have lost to Carolina. They could have somehow lost to Atlanta, even the Jets. And then obviously they win the rematch in Foxborough when they lit up the Patriots. And now we get them in the playoffs. Obviously, we know what the weather is going to be. It's projected to be like 0 degrees. I think you said it's supposed to feel like it's -20. The Bills were indoors all week. That doesn't really concern me. I mean, these guys have been outdoors plenty. It's just preventative maintenance, I would say, at this point in the season. And then we got Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, trying to win a playoff game with Bill Belichick. It seems like a month ago I was super hot on New England. Now I'm kind of I'm off of New England. I expect it to probably be a heavy run game again. Probably not. They'll throw more than 3 times. I don't think it's supposed to be as windy. But yeah, I just don't know how. I don't see the Patriots winning, to be honest. I think Josh Allen's got the thing going. He's slinging the rock well. And I think they'll be too much. I think all time, since 2010, rookie QBs as starters in the playoffs are 2-8. And so, yeah, I mean, I like Josh Allen heading into this weekend. The Bills put it back together. How are you guys looking at this matchup? I think this might be Take the Rock as the boring game of the weekend. If I had to pick one where I'm like, this game's probably going to suck, it's probably going to be this one. But Alex, let's start with you. What are you seeing going into this one between the Bills and the Patriots?
Yeah, not crazy excited for this third matchup. I think it's going to go pretty similar to the second one where the Bills won by 12. Mac Jones, it's like hard to trust a rookie going in. You get Bill Belichick, and like that New England defense is good. It's very good. That offense is all right. This is not a great New England team. They finished well. They had a good middle run. They didn't finish well, excuse me. And Buffalo finished really well, and they have been really getting it through the air. And I think it's going to be a similar matchup, right? The Patriots are going to try and to control the ground game. Last game, they lost by 12. You still had Damian Harris, 18 carries, almost 6 yards a carry, 5.7. So, like, I expect New England to be able to run the ball well, but I think Mac Jones is going to make a mistake. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I think New England as a team, and Bill will have them ready to play. But this Bills team is experienced, right? AFC Championship game appearance last year. They want to go further this year. They want to do better. Josh Allen's been playing well. This is nobody's first time for Buffalo. So I think they go in, they take care of business. They know New England very well, obviously. Third times they're going to see each other this year. I'm just all Buffalo here. I think Bill will have that defense ready to go, but I think Mac Jones is just going to come up short. Make maybe a rookie mistake or two with the wild card pressure. And I just really like Buffalo here.
Yeah, McCorkle hasn't really been great down the stretch. They had that week 14 bye, and then they lost 3 of their final 4. The lone win was Jacksonville. So that's like half a win, if we're being honest. But yeah, Blaine, what do you see? Do you expect another 3-pass effort out of McCorkle? Or do you expect him to sling the rock a little bit more in the wild card game? I think he's going to have to be honest.
Yeah, definitely more than 3 times, but I'm not fully sold on the Bills. I'm just not. This game to me is going to be defense, run game, play action. And although it's easy to say, the Bills, things set up better for the Bills because they're at home and they have Josh Allen, I don't really trust Josh Allen like that. I just don't. It's not that he isn't the better quarterback by far. He is the better quarterback by far. But I think the Bills let him do things because they believe in his talent so much that actually hurt them. And I think New England is the opposite. I think they don't let Mac do things to help them. I think it helps them when they really restrict what Mac does. And I don't think anybody, on earth besides me probably watched the Falcons at Bills game, week 17. But in the span of 4 offensive snaps, Josh Allen turned the ball over 3 times. I mean, what are you doing, Josh Allen? The Falcons aren't known for being an aggressive defense or defense that makes you turn the ball over. Usually you just walk all over them. I mean, Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian just did, 4 days ago. And it's like the elements concern me. I give the psychological edge, the coaching edge, pretty much everything but the quarterback edge to New England. And I think this is going to be a really low scoring game. I think, this really could come down to Nick Folk or Tyler Bass. I think it's going to be limiting, each other's possessions in the red zone, kind of like the first game. And although the win's not there, I still think, like, psychologically, I still think the Bills are going to be thinking about how that first game was played in Buffalo in less than ideal conditions. And, the high on Saturday is 9 degrees. I'm sure at kickoff, I think it's going to be like 1 degree. And then with the real temperature feel of the wind chill, it's supposed to get down to like maybe as cold as -18. It's like, I just don't trust the Bills. I'm picking them to win the game. But I'm not like saying that with conviction like many other people are. I just think anytime you're saying you're convinced that Bill Belichick is going to lose handily, I think you maybe are ignoring some of the stuff he's done in his career.
Yeah, that's facts. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any stretch. Like, I don't think it'll be all Bills. I think, as you said, I think it'll be fairly low scoring, close, ugly game. That's why I say it'll probably be the worst game of the weekend if I really had to pick one. Because I mean, we know what Bill Belichick's going to do. We know he's going to come out, run the football, run the football, run the football with Damian Harris and obviously Ramondre Stevenson. Just pound them and try to just play the clock, right? Keep Josh Allen off the field, and hope when he's on the field he makes a mistake. When you mentioned that Falcons game, I did not watch, but just looking at the stat line, horrendous. 11 of 26, $120, and 3 picks, as you said, against a garbage defense in Atlanta. And then when you're going to face a Bill Belichick, Steve Belichick defense, a lot different thing. But I don't know. It's kind of soured me on New England. I think that when it comes down to it, and Mac's going to have to make a throw in this game. I just don't think I can see him making the rookie mistake over Josh Allen. I don't know. I just think Josh Allen's gonna be dialed in for the playoffs, at least for this game. I don't think the Bills. It's just a killer for Sean McDermott to go into another season, right? Go into next year with your last game of this year being a loss at home in the wildcard round to your division rival in the third matchup. I just think it's a locker room killer if it was to happen.
Yeah, if this game stays close and it's a defensive battle like y'all are describing, that probably favors New England, right? And Bill Belichick and that defense. But I don't know if they have that psychological edge New England does like they used to on Buffalo. Buffalo has now won the division twice in a row. They had a good run last year. It's a new coaching staff, new team. This team feels like they should be here. They feel like they're the better team. They already righted the ship on that first loss. They came back and won in New England. I know this one's in Buffalo and the conditions aren't great again, right? But I would hope that the coaching staff learns some lessons. And if they do need to run the ball more, that they get Josh Allen some design runs and get him moving the ball more. Because I felt that first matchup when it was all running right, they couldn't really get it done through the air, which is so tough for Buffalo because their offense is almost all passing, right? So when they have to run the ball a lot, I think they can still take advantage of it if they get Josh Allen in open space. Hopefully they make adjustments from that first matchup, but I still like Buffalo here. I don't think that psychological edge is as big as it used to be when they were, losing to New England twice a year for like 15 years straight.
Yeah, I think being able to go to New England week 16 and kind of beat them the way they did and builds them back up, right? If they would have played a close one and maybe won on a field goal, then it's like, shit, these guys might be closer to us than they think. But being able to go in there and the way they took care of business down the stretch, I just like where Buffalo is going into this. But I do expect a low scoring, like Blaine said. Any kind of closing thoughts on this one? Obviously, I'm rolling Bills. I'm assuming you guys are going Bills as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 17-13 Bills. I just don't know that Mac's going to get into the end zone more than once. Like I said, my only hesitation, though, is, to get 17, Josh Allen's going to have to lead 2 touchdown drives. You cannot come up with field goals against a Belichick coach team because they'll just hang around. And the longer they hang around and you're at home and you're the favorite, you're supposed to win. But I think maybe the one, decided advantage that Buffalo has is in the quarterback run game, because Josh Allen, if things break down and, that New England secondary is stuck to Diggs and Beasley and Knox and those guys like glue, Josh Allen can always run and make a play to seal a game. Mac, we're probably not going to see that from him at all, if any. But the one encouraging thing, I know John does the spread picks with you guys, and he sent us over some data that Singletary's averaging like 17 carries a game over the past 4, which is really what should have happened a long time ago. And really, this is the perfect time to, start to shift that, because they can't be letting Josh Allen throw it 35, 40 times a game in these weather conditions and playing in Buffalo. You're just not going to win playoff games like that consistently in that region. So I think that is encouraging. Yeah, I'll say Buffalo 17, New England 13.
Yeah, I'm with you on all of that. And I think they would have Josh Allen throw 50 times if they really wanted to. They just love airing it out. But I like the Bills here. I would stay away from the spread. The 4 points is scary.
Yeah, for sure. And just to I'm going Bills as well. I already said it. Just to piggyback, Singletary in the last 4. Carolina at 86 yards, Atlanta 110, and then the last game 88. So they're definitely kind of, you can see them teetering towards running the ball a lot more as they head into the playoffs, right? You don't just want to head into wild card round and say, bang, we're going to run the shit out of the ball. They kind of, you saw that progressing. That's a good find by John. He's not here, but obviously he does the spread picks with us. Good find, and we'll see what goes down Saturday night. I don't expect many fireworks. I think really it'll be, I would need to see the first drive, right? If New England gets the ball and they can run an 8-9 minute drive and just bleed the clock and really take the crowd's life out of it, I think the game could take a weird turn. And on the other side, if Buffalo gets the ball first and they can go down the field, get a quick 7 and get the crowd juiced and really put the pressure on Mac Jones, you could see it turn in their favor. So I think the first drive, whoever gets the ball first, it's a big first drive in my eyes. Moving in straight Sunday afternoon, early game, 1 o'clock slot. We got the surprise, the Philadelphia Eagles 9-8, the 7 seed going on the road to face Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Obviously they finished 13-4. All the injuries, no Godwin. I know Leonard Fournette's back, Shaquille Barrett's back. So they're getting some guys back heading in to a crucial game. And then obviously it's the Eagles, a lot of inexperience, very similar to kind of the Bengals with kind of maybe less at the quarterback position, but it's an inexperienced team, right? Jalen Hurts never played in a playoff game. Nick Sirianni, obviously first year, hasn't coached in a playoff game. Quarterbacks 25 or younger all time are 2-11 against Tom Brady. I believe the Bucs right now are like 8.5-point favorites, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, what do we see here? Obviously, the world sees that it's going to be a Tampa Bay W. I'm saying Eagles W. But what are you guys seeing here? We'll start off with Blaine going into this one. Is there any shot that the Eagles can somehow pull the upset in Tampa Bay? And really, that would shock the football world, I'd say.
Well, first of all, I do think 8.5 points is entirely too many. I would have this personally or right around 6. So the 8.5 feels like very disrespectful to Philadelphia, especially when they've become kind of a ground and pound team behind a very improved offensive line. You can possess the clock like that. I know I saw yesterday on ESPN, I believe Tampa won the time of possession 38-22 in the first matchup in the regular season. But I think that was week 6. That was when Sirianni was still doing the weird stuff and like wanting to make Jalen Hurts into like Dante Culpepper, just fling the ball around to Chris Carter and Randy Moss. And I think he finally transitioned from that. And I think it'll be a totally different game where they try to go, run first, use Hurts' legs to keep chewing clock, keep, grinding out first downs. And I think it's going to be close, like into the fourth quarter. And really, over the last month, nothing good has happened for Tampa. Yes, they, closed the regular season out with the win over Carolina, and it looked very one-sided, but that was still a game like late into the second quarter. Before that, they struggled with the Saints, and they got blanked by the Saints. They've had all the issues, with their injuries to Fournette, who should be back this week. Godwin out for the season. Antonio Brown no longer on squad. Gronk is liable to get injured literally anytime he steps on a football field. So I just think 8.5 is entirely too much. I would lean Tampa, but to me, this could be one where Brady's got to, for the 701st time in his career, got to go on a game-winning drive with the score tied or the Bucs behind late in the game. So I don't see this as totally one-sided. Yes, you got to give respect to the reigning Super Bowl champions and Tom Brady, but I'm not sure that this is really an 8.5-point game as the odds makers see it.
Yeah, I did not even realize, just real quick before I cut you off, that this is like 20 years 20 years from when the Bucs, who nobody said the Bucs in 2002 said then everybody said the Bucs can't win in cold weather. They will not beat Philadelphia in cold weather. They can't beat them. And then obviously what the Bucs did, they won to close out the vet in Philadelphia and kind of go on. Obviously it'd be a reverse here, right? The world's saying the Eagles can't go to Tampa and win. The Eagles can't go to Tampa and win. They can't do this, can't do that. And I don't know, maybe it can be 20 years and we just flip it on them. But yeah, Alex, what do you see here at 1 o'clock on Sunday as we head down to Tampa Bay?
I like that idea a lot. 20 years later, we flip it and beat them in Tampa Bay. I'm taking the Eagles as a homer pick. I agree with Blaine that the 8.5 is too many points. It worries me. Tampa Bay has played really well at home. I understand they lost weapons. Their defense is getting healthy. Obviously, they have a very good run defense, right? And Philadelphia has flipped to a run heavy, the number one running offense the last second half of the season. So it's very curious to me how they're going to adjust and run that game against the Bucks. I hope it's not just a bunch of runs up the middle. I hope they try and spread them out to the side a little bit. We'll see. I do think that like the lack of experience on the Eagles side is going to really show in the first half. I would assume Nick Sirianni in that offense plays pretty damn conservative in the first half. Doesn't really go for it much. And I would assume post halftime, second half, he kind of airs it out and like gets less conservative and opens it up more just because you have nothing to lose, right? It's a playoff game. But I do think the nerves are going to be there. I don't know how this Eagles team, they'll be ready to play, right? And I think it's going to be competitive. 8.5 is too many points. I think they have a chance for sure. But I am worried about how the run game matches up. I'm worried about how the team is going to look experience-wise, coaching staff. I think the first half, they're going to be pretty conservative. And what worries me defensively is Gronkowski and those tight ends for Tampa Bay because the Eagles do not have great linebackers and they're going to be very vulnerable across the middle. And I don't know if they're going to just try and bracket Gronk or whatever, but Gronkowski is definitely in line for a big day against these Eagles linebackers.
Yeah, for sure. The Eagles are another team similar to like the Raiders, maybe even more so than the Raiders, that they shouldn't be playing tight at all. They should be doing whatever, right? I mean, you're now 8.5, and it could go up to 9.5 by the time Sunday trickles around. That they really have nothing to lose, right? Going down to Tampa Bay, everybody's kind of already writing them off. They're already moving Tampa Bay on to the next round. So I kind of hope that Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, they just come out loose with nothing to lose. I do kind of, they might be a little bit tentative out of the gate, but I would hope not. And you hit right now on the head with the matchups that concern me. It's the linebackers covering Gronkowski and probably Cameron Brate covering the tight end in general. The Eagles don't cover the tight end. They haven't covered the tight end well in years. So that concerns me. And then just the running game overall, our run defense. It's weird to see that this year our run defense, the pass defense, the secondary became the strength with Darius Slay and Stevie Nelson back there, and the run defense with the little 3-3-5 scheme, I believe that Jonathan Gannon runs, that kind of gets chewed up. But I mean, I'm right on with you guys. 8.5 is a lot for the type of game that I can see this becoming. Right, we know the Eagles like to run the ball. I think the Bucks will attack with the tight ends and run the football as well, because they don't have the weapons, right? They don't have Antonio Brown. You don't have Chris Godwin. Mike Evans, Gronkowski. You got Brashad Perryman. So I don't think there's going to be a ton of like just shots down the field and highlight plays. I think it'll be a lot of tight end work and a lot of run game out of the Bucks. So I think, clock will just get chewed up. So I'm right with you guys. 8.5 is quite a bit. And I've been saying all week, Eagles 24, Bucks 21, upset. Get the coats ready. We're going to Green Bay. So that's my pick. Got to be the homer pick. I refuse to pick the Bucks on my own show, but Blaine, you going Bucks? It's probably the smart pick.
Yeah, I'll probably say like 28-24. I do, like I said though, I do expect it to be closer than the experts predict.
I like it. And then obviously, Alex, you already said Eagles get the job done.
Yep, homer pick all the way.
Homer pick. I love it. Let's keep it moving. Sunday, America's quote unquote team. The Dallas Cowboys probably face the dark horse NFC team, I'd say, if they play like up to par. And San Fran goes on the road to play Dallas in the 3-6 matchup. Obviously, we know what Dallas has on the offensive side with Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. And then when you look at the 49ers, they like to pound the rock. Jimmy Garoppolo with the bad thumb. I don't know. He's probably going to have to come out a little bit better than he did in the first half against the Rams. I don't expect the Cowboys to choke away a game like that. They could, but it's less than likely. The Cowboys kind of need to get the run game going. The offense looks sluggish when they don't really have the run game rolling. Dak Prescott, obviously, he can't move. He's like a sloth back there now. So yeah, what do you see? This is really one where I could see the 49ers coming in and beating Dallas. Dallas is just, they seem like a team once it gets to this time of year, and they should win. They seem like an accident waiting to happen, as my man Stephen A. Smith has said for years. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys see? You see the 49ers. I like the 49ers heading into this one quite a bit. But yeah, what do you guys see, Blaine? What do you see out of the 49ers and Dallas at the 3:30 slot on Sunday?
Well, as I made the comment about the Bengals Raiders being the early Saturday game, which seems spot on, you and I were very surprised that America's quote unquote team did not receive a primetime game in the Sunday night or Monday night slot. But that's neither here nor there. I give the edge to Dallas in terms of quarterback play, and I give the edge to San Francisco in literally every other category. Dallas's run game is just terrible. It's like they just run Zeke into the line for a yard or no gain, and then maybe he leans forward for 2, and then they'll, get a little pop pass to Tony Pollard to like energize the run game, but that's technically a pass. And it's like they have no juice unless it's Dak dropping back 45 times and then just like, take your pick of who he's going to throw to between CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, Cedric Wilson, or Pollard out of the backfield. And to me, that's not the formula. The thing you got to do against San Francisco is not let their front four start just knowing that you're going to pass and get pressure on Dak, who becomes kind of fragile in the pocket when he gets rattled. And then on the other side of the ball, Dallas they've had a good defense and a turnover, really a good turnover margin year for them. I believe they were tied for first in the NFL in turnover margin, but I don't think that style of defense is, going to be optimized against a Kyle Shanahan led offense. They're not really going to let Jimmy, just drop back and like sit in the pocket and, have to make crazy reads and sit back there and get, strip sacked by Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence. They're really just going to pound you and pound you and pound you and pound you and then go play action. And I think that's what Dallas is going to struggle with. Right about the time that, they think it's going to be a run, they're going to get popped over the middle to Debo on one of those RPOs or Kittle in play action. And then like, good luck tackling those guys one-on-one. Yeah. Diggs is a good play the ball in the air type guy. Anthony Brown is really not good at anything. He's just the other corner that starts for them. But you don't want to be committing so many guys to the line of scrimmage, especially the type of guys they have. You talk about Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. They want to like see ball, run to ball. And you don't want to do that. You want to be disciplined against the 49ers. And if you do see ball, run ball against a Shanahan-led ground and pound and play action attack, they might hang 45 on Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You hit it. They get a lot of turnovers, and that's the Dallas defense kind of, I think a lot of people started to overrate them quite a bit. I think they let up the most yards, at least it's got to be top 3 in the league as far as yards given up, right? So they go after the ball, right? Trayvon Diggs, 11 interceptions, but he's prone. If you hit him with a double move, that boy is going to be lost because he's all over the ball. They got a lot of guys, like you said, just attack. And Kyle Shanahan's too crafty to get beat by that style of defense. Like you said, he'll confidently run the ball 4 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry all day, and then bang, RPO, Kittle, and good luck tackling that man. So they got a lot of matchups that if they can run the game the way they want to, it's in their favor. What do you see, Alex, heading into this one?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm right there with you. I love the Niners here. I love the Niners +3. I like the Niners money line. This is like the healthiest they've been all year. They're my favorite NFC West team. I picked them at the beginning of the year. It didn't really pan out. 10-7. They're not far behind the Rams or the Cardinals. And here they are, right? They had a great win last week, come from behind. They can't afford to start that slow, obviously, but they match up well with Dallas. Kyle Shanahan talks about on the record, he wants to run the ball 30 to 40 times. And that's going to be realistic here on Sunday against Dallas. They're going to be able to run the ball 30 times. Elijah Mitchell, Debo Samuel, Trent Williams should be back for this game. Is looking like he's going to suit up and play. Ayuk, Kittle, Juwan Jennings, their third receiver, balled out last week. The Niners offense is rolling right now. And then the thing that makes me really like the Niners is Dallas's offense, because their run game has been atrocious. Like Blaine said, Zeke's just kind of running straight into the line for a yard or two. And they've shown that like Dak and that passing offense has trouble like really get going and getting big chunks when the run game's not really clicking. And I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball that well against the Niners. And it sets up for the Niners defense. If you're going to attack the Niners and really score points on them, right, you can attack them through their secondary. But if you have to, it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because if you have to draw back and you have to earn time, you're going to let that Niners front four just tee off on Dallas and get those pass rushers really going. It doesn't go well for Dallas. So I really like the Niners in this matchup here. Obviously, I'm not a Dallas guy, right? I look for reasons to pick against Dallas. So I want to put it out there. I'm pretty biased here, right? I like the Niners a lot. I do not like Dallas at all. But football-wise and matchup-wise, I think the Niners are in a great spot for a road upset.
Exactly. And it's a Mike McCarthy-led team. I think I'll just devil's advocate. If you're a Dallas side, you'd be salivating maybe if you can get Dak some time to attack that San Fran secondary. Their secondary is brutal. So, I mean, that's one thing that you can kind of, if you can get some protection and keep Dak upright, because he's not going to move from the pocket. He doesn't move anymore. It's crazy to think that a mobile quarterback, I mean, obviously the injury, but I mean, you're a year past that he just doesn't move like he used to. So it doesn't create opportunities as like a team like the Bills with Josh Allen. He'll be willing to get out there and extend the play and create some chaos for a defense. Dak's not going to do that. So, I mean, they're really going to rely on that line, because I mean, if Zeke's going to show up with the cement shoes after a plate of barbecue again, and he's going to be sluggish, not move. So, I mean, yeah, I'm right with you. I'm going Niners as well here. They have the perfect recipe to beat Dallas, and I love it because they're going to pan to Jerry Jones 42 times. Skip Bayless is going to be tweeting all day, probably blame the refs, probably blame something, but I mean, I'm all here for it. It's just a good matchup for San Fran. Any closing thoughts? And obviously Alex said San Fran. Blaine, I'm assuming, are you going to go Dallas, or are you taking the Niners as well?
I'm going to go San Francisco by like a field goal. I think both teams are going to be able to put up a decent amount of points. I just think that Shanahan's offense is going to put up more. You know, the other interesting thing that comes to mind for me is the team that San Francisco just played, you know, this past weekend, the Rams. I can draw some really strong comparisons between them and Dallas. I mean, offensively, Stafford and Dak, you know, they're kind of that upper middle tier of quarterback. They both can move around a lot, but can't move like the mobile guys. They can run a little bit if you give them, 5 yards to run out of bounds. But if you collapse the pocket on them, they're not going to be able to escape it, and they're just either going to throw the ball up or get sacked. And we really started to see the front four from San Francisco really get home to Stafford, and he was just, hitting the turf, time after time in the second half. And then defensively, it's the same type of thing. We have a really aggressive defense. We've got some good names on paper. Obviously, the Cowboys don't have anybody like an Aaron Donald, but just in terms of, we want to read and react. We want to force chaos and turn the ball over like Dallas wants to. The Rams are really in that mold. And so I think that, not the more I start to think about it, that was probably the perfect opponent for San Francisco to really find their footing against and really be able to say, we can do a lot of the things we just game planned for last week, this week. And that's not even counting the fact that Dallas's run game is worse. San Francisco was starting to tee off and get pressure on Stafford, and they had to respect the ground game. They had to respect the run scheme of McVay, and Michelle was picking up some 6 and 7 yard gains to make it manageable third downs. Dallas isn't even going to have that luxury. They're going to be getting 1 and 2 yard gains and be facing third and longs.
For sure. If there's any history on this one, the last 4 times the Niners and the Cowboys have met in the playoffs, the winner went on to win the Super Bowl. So there's a little bit of that. Doesn't really mean shit, but yeah, I like Niners by probably by a field goal, just like you said. And it's interesting that you brought up that matchup. I didn't really even think of it like that, but they are very similar teams, especially at the quarterback position with the mobility back there between the Rams and the Cowboys. Yeah, let's keep it moving. Last game on the Sunday slate, not really the greatest game that we're going to see. Probably the Big Ben retirement party. We got the Steelers at 9-7-1, who snuck in thanks to the Colts. They get to face the 2 seed Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch. Obviously, we saw the game in December. Wasn't very good, wasn't very close at all. It was just an absolute ass whooping. Line right now is, I think it's 12.5. It opened at like 13.5. I don't know what to even say about this. It's like, I'm shocked that the Steelers are here. Obviously the Steelers defense, I respect TJ Watt. Probably should have had the sack record if we're being honest. So I respect that defense, but I just don't think it's, once again, it's that offense, and you're going back into Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs. There's no way I could possibly spin this into, what if the Steelers make it a super ugly game and the Chiefs come out sloppy and turn the ball over 5 times to keep the Steelers in it, and Big Ben leads the team on a drive to win, right? Like, then I would know the NFL is probably fixed and I wouldn't need to watch anymore. But hey, it's a game. We're all going to tune in. What do you guys see heading into Arrowhead on a Sunday night? Alex, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I'm sure you can guess this is the game I'm least excited for. I've picked against the Steelers all year, basically. You see the Steelers as underdogs. You do the Mike Tomlin rah-rah thing. You like to take them in the points. I wouldn't even do that here. Kansas City minus 12.5. I think the Chiefs roll. Even Big Ben has already kind of came out and talked about how it's like not a good matchup and they're probably going to lose. He's ready to retire, right? But good for the Steelers to like sneak into the playoffs here. Big Ben gets one more playoff game. Like, those are like the silver linings. I just really don't see how Pittsburgh gets it done. If I am going to paint a picture for how Pittsburgh gets it done, defensive player of the year, TJ Watt has to just terrorize Kansas City, right? Force some turnovers, some short yardage, field positions. And even then, I still wouldn't feel great, just because like Big Ben cannot move the ball down the field, right? His arm's not there. They have weapons. It's just a struggle for Pittsburgh. I just don't see how they get it done outside of TJ Watt just straight up destroying this game, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, to be honest, when I said this could be the worst one, I said the Bills and the Pats, but this game solely relies on Patrick Mahomes doing some crazy shit and making this thing fun, at least on one side of the ball. Well, Blaine, I know you're a Steelers guy. What do you see going into this? Is this the farewell party for Big Ben, or will he be able to somehow spin some crooked, rigged upset that we just don't see coming?
No, he has no magic, in that right arm. If the Chiefs get to 20 points, the Steelers cannot win, and I think the Chiefs put up 20 points fairly easily this week. There's no way you can convince me. Well, I shouldn't say there's no way. I'll put it this way: there's no way the offense of Pittsburgh is putting up 3 touchdowns. Maybe a block punt, maybe a TJ Watt strip sack. All those things are obviously more than reasonable, but Big Ben leading 3 or 4 touchdown drives is just not happening. The Ravens defense and their secondary completely depleted. You saw what happened 2 weeks ago. Burrow just went for 525 and just did whatever he wanted. And then Big Ben plays them the next week, last week, the final week of the regular season. And it's like, I forget what the final score was, like 16-13 or something. Like, they couldn't move the ball on the team that Joe Burrow just absolutely annihilated. So, yeah, short of a special teams touchdown and, some crazy defensive touchdown, if the Chiefs score 20 points, the Chiefs are going to win, and the Chiefs are going to score 20 points.
Yeah, it's crazy to me to think if the Chiefs if they scored 14 points, I think it'd be wraps. I have a hard time seeing, unless like you said, some crazy anomaly happens where the special teams goes berserk or Mahomes goes completely senile and just throws interceptions, that I have a hard time seeing the Steelers getting to 10 points. I mean, maybe in a garbage time, just see it being eerily similar to the first matchup that we already saw, right? I think it's all Chiefs. I think they could easily put 20. They'll put 3 touchdowns up in a half and just coast. They'll be on autopilot by the third quarter.
Yeah, this game feels so lopsided that you could give the Steelers like 2 special teams or defensive touchdowns, and I'm still taking the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs getting the Steelers is the next best thing that could have happened to them outside of getting a bye, right? They fucked up the bye. Cincinnati beat them. The next best thing to happen is Pittsburgh sneaks in. You get to play the Steelers.
Hey, I'll piggyback off that for a second though. In terms of first round matchups, absolutely, there's a reason that they're the only double digit favorite in round one. However, man, I think that the bracket could not have set up better for Cincinnati. I mean, to be able to play the Raiders on a short week at home and then go to Tennessee, one of the most vulnerable 1 seeds we've ever seen. I mean, you're talking about a team that lost to the Texans and the Jets in the same year and got the 1 seed. There's a very realistic path for Cincinnati to be in the AFC title game. And if you say that, you have to acknowledge that there's also a real, because that's only if, you know, the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 are the 4 teams in the AFC. That also brings into the equation that if the Patriots do upset the Bills, the Patriots could be in the AFC title game because the Patriots would then go to Tennessee.
Yeah. The AFC, it gets super could get super weird.
And I only bring that up because, you know, you talk about the Chiefs having the easy game in round 1, but the Chiefs did not want to see Buffalo in round 2. Minimum, you want to see them in the AFC title game.
That's true, but at some point you got like you can only avoid so many teams, right? You're gonna have to get a matchup. But to the Cincinnati point, I was looking at the bracket beforehand. I was thinking the same thing, and I think there's like a realistic to decent shot that we get a rematch of that Bengals Chiefs game but this time for a Super Bowl berth.
Yep.
Yeah, spot. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. Yeah, that's wait, yeah, we're all going Chiefs, right? Like, there's no shot. Nobody's.
Easily.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a formality. That yeah, I like the Chiefs by 17 plus. Yeah, let's keep moving into Monday night. Honestly, just before we even talk about it, how do you guys feel about a Monday wildcard game? I don't like it. I think it's stupid. I thought you should just did 3 Saturdays and 3 Sundays and called it a day. The NFL, obviously, they want to be on their own stage on Monday night, obviously with the Cardinals going on the road to play the Rams. But yeah, before we even talk about the game, how do you guys feel about this Monday night ESPN wildcard?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the Monday night matchup just because like then they're gonna have to play on Sunday the following week. So it's like it seems more reasonable to me to have all the teams play on Sunday because like this is the playoffs. Should try and keep it like even time between games, but I get why they do it.
Yeah, for sure. It's 100% a money grab. From a fan perspective, I love it, but just from like a competition, like, is this the right thing to do? That's kind of where I'm like, this is it doesn't make sense to me. How about you, Blaine?
Yeah, obviously the money and the ratings and the fan. Yeah, we get a third day of football in the playoffs. That's great. What I will say is if they want this to work, and you know, it's sad that, you know, they're relying on me to say this and they don't have, you know, smart enough people in the little league office to think about this. But really the easy solution, if you want to do this and then also maintain what's best for competition, is you just make sure that the Monday night game is a team who will not be traveling for round 2. This isn't rocket science. We know that if the bracket plays out the way, you know, the numbers say it will, that the Rams and the Cardinals will be on the road either in Green Bay or in Tampa. I mean, that's a ridiculous flight to have to take on a short week. You know, this isn't hard. The Monday night game should have been Chiefs Steelers. The Chiefs will be at home in round 2.
Facts. I just think
it's a really good point.
Yeah.
Why are we making the short week team fly to Green Bay, Wisconsin or Tampa Bay, Florida from California?
That is very good. But I imagine when you pitch to ESPN, can we put Patrick Mahomes versus Big Ben on its own platform? You're going to wait all day to watch Big Ben play on Monday night. They probably said, hell no, we're not having that team on our network. So I imagine that factored in. But yeah, that's spot on. Honestly, I didn't even think of it that way, the way you did. So, I mean, that's why you are the expert when it comes to this stuff. And that's a great point, to be honest.
It just feels cheap that these teams are already going to be on 6 days and then they've got to take a cross country flight somewhere. And if you don't want the Chiefs if you don't want the Chiefs Steelers, then the logical explanation is you do it for the other 2 seed. You do it for the Bucks Eagles, and you make sure that, the Bucks or the Eagles, they're going to be on the East Coast no matter what happens the following week. But just the way they set it up for the California team to have to go all the way across the country is absurd.
Yeah, I don't think the NFL wanted the Eagles at the make that long trip to Lambeau either on a short week. But let's get into the game. We got the third matchup. We got the Cardinals. We got the Rams. The Rams, obviously, it's a stumble fest. The Cardinals obviously lost to the Seahawks in what everybody thought was the last Pete Carroll Russell Wilson game, but it's like, pause. It might not be the last Pete Carroll Russell Wilson game, honestly, if I had to put money on it. Right now, they're 11-6, and the Rams, obviously, they lose but win the NFC West at 12-5. They're stumbling in. It's kind of like this is 2 teams that stumbled their way to this matchup. And I don't know who I really love in this one. I don't love either one of them. Maybe I'll just go Sean McVay by a notch because I'm done with Cliff Kingsbury and that crew, and I can just see Sean McVay having his guys more ready, and Matt Stafford doing his thing and somehow not doing something stupid or throwing interceptions. But I mean, I don't love either team going into this matchup the way they're playing. I've soured on the Rams. I've obviously called Stafford the bougie Jared Goff. And then obviously what the Cardinals have done down the backstretch of the season was pretty, it was less than stellar, we shall say, considering they basically had the 1 seed. I mean, they could have had it nearly with a bow tie on it and been chilling. And now they're sitting here on Wildcard Weekend having to go on the road for the third game against the Rams. So, I mean, how are we looking at this one? Do you love either team going into this? Who do you give the edge heading into Monday night? We'll start with you, Blaine, on this one.
Well, this is a tough one for me. I certainly don't give the edge to a team who may be starting Eric Weddle 2 years of doing nothing at safety after injuries to Taylor Rapp and Jordan Fuller. Certainly can't give, the Rams the edge in that secondary. But I also don't know, like you said, with Cliff Kingsbury and some of the, just the sort of the collapse that they had. I mean, we're talking about a team that can't go into Detroit and win a game. We can't beat, Aaron Rodgers with no Devontae Adams at home. They've just had some head scratching loss. They lost to Carolina, Cam Newton's debut. It's like, what are we doing here? So I don't really give the edge to either team. I mean, I guess, I'm going to pick the Rams because they're at home. They have McVay, but really, I guess the biggest X factor, I would give it to, the Arizona offense. I just think that they might be able to do some things against, that Rams secondary. Jalen Ramsey bites on pretty much anything. And then you're going to be starting Eric Weddle because you lost 2 safeties. And then you also have to account for Kyler Murray's legs, one of the guys that, can get away and can still make a play and can still, make a big splash down the field, even if he's got pressure in his face from Von Miller, Aaron Donald. So, I mean, it's a tough one for me. I'm going to go Rams, and I'm not going to feel good about it.
Yeah, I'm literally Rams just because they're home, to be honest. Like that's what it came down to me. I guess if you're a Cardinals guy, you're like, we'll get excited. Kyler's 15 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. We're a road team. But as you mentioned, that road team couldn't win in Detroit. So, I don't know. Neither of these teams don't love either of them. Alex, what do you see here? It's hilarious that you kept banging on the Eric Weddle point. I completely zoned out and forgot about that for a little bit, but that's hilarious. They went out to a guy on the couch drinking beers and said, can you come play safety in the playoffs for us? But Alex, what do you see here?
Yeah, so y'all did a good job summing it up, right? I'm having a hard time picking either of these teams. I'm never crazy about a third matchup, which is why I was very excited when the seedings got finalized that the Niners got Dallas and not another NFC West team. But with the Rams and the Cardinals, the Rams with the Eric Weddle thing, and then Matthew Stafford, I know most of these numbers are from Detroit, right? But there's enough of a sample size that he does struggle against the better teams and the teams above 500. Now, this year he gets Sean McVay and that coaching staff, and everything's better in this scenario, right? But he's laid some eggs this year. We've seen him throw multiple pick sixes weeks in a row. We've seen Matthew Stafford struggle, and I don't feel great about it. But then at the same time, I look at the Cardinals side. It's like, do I really feel good about putting money down with Cliff Kingsbury. Is that really going to give me confidence? As Blaine has said, like he was going to get the Detroit win. There's been multiple times throughout the year where they just came out flat and they didn't look good. This is a third matchup between teams that know each other very well. It's hard to say either team has a big edge. I'm rolling with the Cardinals here. If I was picking the spread, I would feel good about it simply because they get some points here. I expect this game to be pretty dang close. But I'm going with Arizona to get the road win simply because I don't feel there's a huge edge for either team. And if I'm going to pick here, I'm going to roll with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has come out and looked bad at times, so he could totally let me down in this spot. He let me down last time it was a Monday night game and they played the Rams. I thought they were going to look really well. That one was in Arizona. This one's in Los Angeles. I'm just simply going to pick the Cardinals. It's very close here, but I think Kyler's an X factor. If he comes out locked in, he can create with his legs, kind of do things dynamically on the offensive end. I think that's really the advantage here, right? I think that's the edge. I could see I'm leaning Cardinals, don't feel good about it.
Yeah. I'm the other way. I'm going Rams by a field goal. I don't feel good about it either, though, when I sit back and look at it. I'm just going with them solely because they're the home team. And and the other team lost to the Lions. Blaine, are you going with the Rams as well?
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams. Like I said, I don't feel good about it, but I'm putting just a little bit of equity into the fact that that's what they went out and got Stafford for. They said that he could, you got to remember Goff got this team to a Super Bowl and that apparently wasn't good enough. So imagine a wild card exit for the guy that you just gave all this money to.
Exactly. That's honestly, if it happened to be great, because John's a big Matt Stafford guy, and I will be able to troll for an hour at least on if Matt Stafford somehow blows this game on Monday night. But I mean, that's a wrap for all the games. I mean, I guess there's one thing really left to do. We talked about all the wildcard matchups, and before any of the action kicks off this weekend, I mean, it's as simple as who do you guys have matching up in the Super Bowl at this point? I guess I'll lead us off. I'm going to go with Green Bay out of the NFC. I've said they're getting healthy. I mean, they seem to be the healthiest team outside of Aaron Rodgers. So they're just getting everybody back. I saw Whitney Merciless, who tore his bicep, I believe it was. He's even practicing and could come back. They're getting Zadarius Smith back, it seems. They're just getting so many good players back, and obviously they have Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, and that is a scary duo, not to mention Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon out of the backfield. So I just find it hard to see them losing in Lambeau. Everything runs through Lambeau in the NFC, so I'm rolling with them. And then AFC, I'm going with the Chiefs. I don't like the Titans as the 1 seed, as Blaine mentioned, the team that lost to the Texans, lost to the Jets. So I have no faith in them. The bracket kind of sets up well for the Chiefs. So I'm rolling Packers. Chiefs will be playing February 13th in the Super Bowl. One of you guys can take a stab at it. Whoever wants the floor.
Well, I'll make it easy. We didn't talk about this, but those were my 2 teams. So I'll hand it over to Alex. You kind of nailed it. I think Green Bay over Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
Damn. I'm basically right there with y'all. I think this is the logical one. I want to pick Chiefs Packers. I'm just going to switch it up a little bit and ride with the dark horse team that I'm just bandwagoning here for the NFC. And I'm going to go with a repeat matchup of 2 years ago and go Chiefs Niners.
Chiefs.
Ooh, I like
Niners. That. Who do you have winning that? Who wins the rematch? Chiefs and Niners.
Kansas City.
Kansas City is rolling. Kansas City goes from 3-4 to Super Bowl champion. I didn't mention my winner. I have Green Bay. If Green Bay did play Kansas City, I would take them to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think it's the perfect immunized Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl year. And that's my insight on that. Obviously, something crazy stupid's bound to happen this weekend that'll just throw everything off. Quick topic that was thrown in right before by John, one of our guys, obviously the guy that did the spread picks all year, actually won the spread picks. I didn't put the actual final total up on the slides that whiffed on that, but he won the overall pick. He was like 130 and 116, something around that. Pretty solid year. Alex also finished over 500, I believe, by 2 games, and I was like 2 games under. But who are your top 5 head coaching candidates? This isn't jobs, so you don't have to match a coach to the job or a team. But who are your top 5? I don't even have 5, so I don't know if you guys will have 5. But who are your top 5 head coaching candidates? And just a little bit of news: the Texans fired David Culley after 1 year. That's surprising to me. What was that team going to do? I mean, your quarterback's in jail, or he's in court, or he's handling lawsuits. So what was he expected to do? I mean, most people said they'll be an 0-7. They have potential to be 0-17, and he won football games with them. So that's a little surprise to me. But Blaine, who are your top 5 coaches on the market, if you even have 5 of them?
Yeah, real quick, just back to the Culley point. I also got that alert while we were recording, and not only did he just completely, win beyond expectation for the Texans, but they could have been packing it in at the end, and he's beaten playoff contenders like the Chargers handily. Like that was like 2 weeks ago. So that does surprise me. Off the top, I think the only head coaching candidates out there that have head coaching experience are Dan Quinn and Brian Flores. So I think they just get a little bit of maybe a boost just because they've done the job before. And then other than that, you got to take a look at Eric Bieniemy. I know the 2 hot offensive guys besides Bieniemy are Kellen Moore and Byron Leftwich. They seem to be getting a lot of interest for teams that want to go in an offensive direction. So that's already 5. And then a couple more offensive guys that definitely deserve a shot would be Jim Caldwell and Doug Peterson, who also have done tremendous work with quarterbacks and offensive schemes in the past. So there's 7 guys there for you, not in any particular order, but I think those would be my 7. Quinn, Flores, Caldwell, Byron Leftwich, Kellen Moore, and then whoever I just said, I already forgot.
Yeah, that's good. My guys,
Doug Peterson. Sorry.
Yeah, Doug Peterson. Yeah, I would have Doug Peterson. I forgot about Bieniemy, but yeah, Doug Peterson, Bieniemy. Obviously, I'm not super high on Dan Quinn at all. I just think we've seen it right. I don't know, just because he revitalizes, he'll obviously probably get a job because he was able to turn the Dallas defense into a turnover machine. So he'll probably get hired. I know you had a big bet on him going to the Broncos, which seems to kind of be trending in the right direction. But I like Doug Peterson, Bieniemy, Kellen Moore. And I literally forget the other name that I had on my head before this even went live. But that's Brian Flores. That's who it was, Flores. So I'd have Flores, Peterson, Bieniemy, and Kellen Moore as like the cream of the crop guys that I would be going after for sure. Maybe Byron Leftwich as well. Just throw him in there. He should probably get a shot at a job too. But it's like, I don't know how many teams, what I mean? He's down there with Tom Brady. So it's like, I feel like a lot of teams are going to be like, yeah, if he didn't have Tom Brady, what would he really be doing? But those are my guys. Yeah, Flores would probably be at the top, I would say, just because what he was able to do. It's kind of shocking that the Dolphins accidentally pressed X too many times and fired him. But Alex, who are your top candidates?
Pretty much the names y'all listed. I like Brian Flores a lot. I was surprised with his firing. But I'm glad you brought up Jim Caldwell, Blaine, because I think that was one of the guys on my list. I think he deserves another shot. He's a good coach. He has a winning record. Detroit was much worse without him. We know that Detroit is kind of a cesspool for getting wins and coaching anyways. So, I thought Jim Caldwell did well. I like Doug Peterson, Brian Flores. Pretty much all the names y'all listed, right? Leftwich, Kellen Moore. If I were to just bring up a couple names y'all didn't list, I feel like Josh McDaniels' name is always there, right? He's always in the running. Maybe they feel like that's been cycled through already, but I'm sure his name is going to pop up. And I think the other interesting one is maybe Todd Bowles for Tampa Bay on the defensive side.
Facts. I didn't even think about that. There was another Jim, obviously a big name that everybody's going to link to. I don't think he's going anywhere after his comments, but Jim Harbaugh, would you Would you guys be in on Jim Harbaugh? I'm not a Jim
I'm
Harbaugh
out.
guy. Yeah, I just don't think his antics. I mean, I think we've seen it run its course, right? We saw, I mean, the players literally hated his guts in San Fran. By the time the thing was over, he's goofy. I just don't think it works in the NFL. And it's kind of best for him to stay at Michigan, where he can kind of run the show, get unlimited talent, and keep that. But I know, Alex, you were kind of big on Jim Harbaugh before the show.
Look, I know he ran his course in San Fran and the players were not fans of him. And he kind of took his name out of the running, right? It looks like he wants to stay at Michigan, but I think he'd be a good candidate as well. His 3 years in San Francisco, 44, 19, and 1. They had a Super Bowl appearance, conference championship appearances. I get that, like, it runs its course and it's not great for the pros, that style, but like, he got a lot of wins, right? And that's what ownership looks at. And I think they would definitely give Jim Harbaugh another shot. But it looks like I don't think he's going to be leaving Michigan at this point.
No, I don't think so. As he said, he has to hit the recruiting shot. I think he would be kind of a good fit if there was a team that was like surprisingly was like right on the cusp of a Super Bowl contention. I don't know about Chicago. I don't know if he's like, if they're one Harbaugh away, but I don't know if there was like a team that was on the cusp of a Super Bowl but fired the coach. I don't know, difference of opinion with the coach, and like he could come in and year one, right? I think as the years roll on with Harbaugh, he just sours and sours as a NFL level head coach compared to a college head coach. And I heard, Blaine, you said you're out on Harbaugh as even a thought.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out on him at Michigan. I'm out on him anywhere where I have to watch him on the sideline for a football team.
That's facts. The 1982 running offense really isn't it. And yeah, I don't know. For everybody that said Cincy shouldn't have been in the playoff, Michigan probably shouldn't have been in the playoff. But yeah, any kind of closing thoughts before we head into the weekend and get ready to see how these playoffs unfold?
No, I'm just ready to watch the games. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm ready to watch it.
Exactly.
And you know, I guess the only other thought I have is one of those that you can't really speak on until it happens, which is something absolutely bananas and ridiculous is going to happen and make something that one of us said look absurd. And that's what I can't wait for.
Oh yeah, dude, I've been doing this for 18 weeks. Trust me, it's at least once a week where something that I came on here, it completely gets flipped upside down and just slaps me right in the face for even saying it. So, I mean, I'm already adjusted and aware and ready. And it's actually, yeah, I mean, you hit it. It's probably going to happen. Any closing thoughts from you, Alex?
Right there with y'all. Just super excited to watch the games. There's going to be one result this weekend that's going to be outrageous, and hopefully that's an Eagles ass kicking.
For sure, yeah. As I said, get the coats ready. We're going to Green Bay. But yeah, I mean, that's going to do it for the wild card weekend preview. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have any suggestions. Drop those below. As always, the Spotify link will be dropped in the description as it goes live at the same time this video will be on YouTube. And yeah, we'll see you next week to kind of wrap up the wild card and jump into some divisional matchups.